I've been going to the CEDIA Expo for a while now, and there's one room I'll never skip. Alcons Audio has proven to have one of the best sonic presentations, and I never understood why until this year. In this video, we'll be exploring Alcons Audio and what they had going on this year at CEDIA, so you understand why I feel they are the future of their market. Hello, I'm Mike and welcome to Audio Architects. Alcons Audio is one of those brands that once you hear their presentation, you're not going to forget it. And you'll more than likely share the sentiment with your friends. This is like the third or fourth time I've actually had the pleasure of listening to an Alcons Audio room. And the biggest takeaway from my experience is that I feel like they improve each year. I don't think complacency is part of the plan here. Every year, they just surpass expectations. Honestly, they could deliver what they did on that first year I heard them, and I honestly would have been happy. So this is just a gravy train. I also had the chance to have a wonderful conversation with founder Tom Back, whose resolve is just absolutely remarkable. His pursuit of perfection feels almost supernatural. He's the type who keeps refining what most people would already call flawless. Dedication hardly covers the way he approaches his work. The Alcons team radiates energy and personality, thanks in no small part to my friend Ortiz, who has been a great friend in the industry for many, many years. There are so many booths that felt just cold and lifeless, like just another sound room. No soul or love behind what they do. But stepping into Alcons is different. It's a warm embrace into a world of sound I wasn't even prepared for. Here's a clip of both founder Tom Back and North American sales manager David Ron explaining a bit about Alcons Audio and their room at CEDIA 2025. Afterwards, I'll be giving my official review of the room.
Hi guys, my name is David Ron. I'm the North American sales manager for Alcons Audio. We're here with Tom Back, our managing director and the founder of the company, here from the Netherlands, and we're here at the CEDIA 2025 show, and once again we're showing off our CRMS Q system this year along with its companion subwoofers. A whole bunch of stuff going on in here. I'll try and break it down pretty briefly. It's an 11.1.6 system. We've partnered with a number of other really high-end audio companies as well as video companies. We're using the Trinov processing and doing the double bass array processing, so 4 of our sealed 18-inch subs on the front wall, 4 in the rear that you can probably see back there. Our CRMS-C cinema reference monitor system compact surrounds in the HV version, so you can mount them horizontally or vertically. Partnerships at the show this year, Matthew Pose of Pose Acoustics was our designer and also system optimizer. He selected Atlanta Home Theater as his partner in building out a lot of this stuff. They built out the acoustic treatments, the panels, the lighting. We staged a lot of the systems at their facility. Great facility if you want to check out a high-end residential showroom environment. They have a wonderful facility there in Atlanta. Again, I mentioned Trinov, so we're using those guys again. We've bounced back and forth between the various French companies, Trinov and Storm. They both do a great job. Kaleidoscape we're using for delivery of some of the content. Mad VR video processing. Always a pleasure to have the Mad VR stuff in here. To kind of wrap up what's going on in here, our video partner is Christie Digital, and this is the worldwide introduction of the VDR technology in the residential market. VDR stands for, and this is stuff I've just learned recently, variable dynamic range. And it's basically taking a high quality, high contrast projector, 5,000 to 1, and turning it into a 55,000 to 1 contrast system. They're using terms like nits and all these other things. Yeah. You have to ask somebody else about that. We're audio guys, but it really has elevated the space and the presentation. The content in here really looks phenomenal. Sounds, of course, better every year. So one of the other things we're doing, and I'll let Tom expand on that, is we're doing a special 2-channel listening session at the end of every day. 5 o'clock, we're going to be bringing in the new M series, the MR10, which is the midfield three-way system in the M series, and this has been I'll call it a passion project, a labor of love. There's probably a few other words we could use.
And hate. Yeah.
But something that Tom has really taken on, and it's been wild to see it finally getting to the marketplace. It's been a real process, but I'm really impressed with what I've heard, and I'll let Tom talk a little bit about it now.
Yeah, so my name is Tom Beck. I'm, as Dave introduced, I'm doing something at the factory. Particularly at this show, specifically at this show, we have the main system is CRMSQ, as Dave said. So that's something we introduced last year at the CEDIA show, and already that product had some takes and has some takes from the development of the M series. M series is actually an idea that I had for, I guess, 4 years ago, where we have a unique position in the fact that we use the exact same technologies in, let's say, residential, pro cinema, performing arts theater applications, all the way up to largest touring systems. And that is unique because over the last 100 years, the main technology for mid and high frequencies developed was and is compression driver, and still being seen as state of the art when it needs to be sound reproduced for more than 10 people. Then below, let's say roughly below 10 people, you can use soft dome tweeter, metal dome tweeter, air motion transformer, that type of technologies. And in the unique position we have being able to utilize the exact same processing amplification technologies, we sort of landed, I would say, in residential market. And then there was actually that question, the last step we could make is to where sound is created. It's in studio. And wouldn't it be a great idea if we could have a solution that starts in studio and ends up in any play out environment and any audience size, any application, any type of source material, and utilize the exact same technologies so you maintain the reference of the original creative idea. And so that's how it started as an idea, assemble basically on a product in the V series. It's a versatile range called VR5, and people said, oh, it sounds like a studio monitor, and there's a steel mesh grill in front of it, and it's not designed to be a studio monitor at all. But that was the trigger. And then so you take the grill off, and then it's like, okay, what do we have? What happens? And you talk to engineers in studio, and we are already present in studios with post-production, both in, we have an extensive portfolio in, let's say, London, but also in LA area and around the world. So we had good feedback. And they were looking for, okay, your mix stage the mix stage we have is with your system, but we need smaller near field systems to translate to smaller and to larger between the rooms. But then they ended up with selecting a basically studio monitor brand, like typical three-letter English brands, or Swiss brands if you wish. But and then I was like, okay, can we come up with something that would be competitive or would be meeting those requirements? And that's where the question started. Took a couple of prototypes, went to with our UK representative for studio and for post-production, Lawrence Clayton, went to the Gearfest show in London, where this is about studio equipment. And we just put it there in a small room, in a back room. People couldn't find us, but it didn't have a name, it didn't have a model number, whatever. And we just asked people, what do you think? And then you get the feedback, like how do they respond? Why do they say that? There's a lot of technology behind it, but there's also a lot of psychology behind it. And to translate what they say into something that ends up as being a tool with which they prefer to work with. Now, the interesting parallel is that, I guess, in both residential and studio, because while we sort of previewing a studio monitor here, is that there are parallels between the two markets in terms of immersive, in terms of clarity, in terms of reproduction of the original sound format.
Right. Well, and a lot of folks in the residential category are always saying, well, I want what, the guy in the studio is mixing on. I want that. And, there's always been this kind of potential crossover and blending in these categories. And, the consumers look to the professionals to set the standards. And it's interesting with the VR5 that was kind of the benchmark to get us into this. Our buddy Sean Quackenbush got a Grammy Award, and he mixed that thing on VR5.
Right.
It's an interesting market, and it does make a lot of sense as kind of the last step for us. And there's a lot of pent up, desire to get this product out. We've done a number of showings in LA to some really key studio folks, and they're very excited about it. So I guess the MR10s are staying here with us, and we'll take those off to LA.
They are, yeah. It's been a ride. I mean, it's I can go to detail what we did, but there's a lot of, I would say, you need to take your time and spend an awful lot of hours listening, comparing, and how it started internally, which created a lot of friction. Is doubt everything. So doubt the wood construction, the damping material, the internal cabling, the filters. Everything was reviewed. The only sort of fixed thing I had set is that we want to utilize the exact same drivers that we put in our other products. So it is a 202, but Pro Ribbon driver, but it has a different waveguide. We do things different with the waveguide. We use a hemp fiber, hemp horn. We're from Amsterdam, so right? You have a circular economy. You got to get rid of your residue that all the Americans leave behind in the Amsterdam coffee shop. So, venting. Look at how do we vent? How do we do it? It's port chuffing, base reflex. Do you go transmission line, or you go sealed? You just build it. We've built tons of prototypes. And in the early stages, I basically did it myself because I didn't want to bother the R&D department, because I didn't know if there is a proof of concept. If you have something like it, well, you create a product. What a lot of manufacturers do, you create a product and say, well, that's a studio monitor. But would an actual studio engineer mix on it? And would he or she say, well, this tail of the reverb, I can actually hear what's going on? No. And so it had to be a lot more than that. All the way up to electronics, evaluating Class D designs, modifying Class D feedback loops.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the electronics, right?
It's just,
there's new amplifiers and
It was ridiculous, and in the end, it gives you so much know-how. And the good thing is that you can separate the BS from the actual factual things you experienced. And if somebody says, speaker cables, you got from $10,000 to $1, and you shouldn't go into the jungle of it, but you should be able to get yourself acquainted with the choices that are being made. So I'm excited. To be honest, what happened is that I did only last week, Monday before I flew in, the evaluation test for the internal cabling, because I changed that, and it wasn't until Sunday that I brought in hand luggage filters and cabling, so modified the MR10s on the spot here. And so this morning actually the first time I heard it as it was supposed to be, and happy. It's actually how it's supposed to be.
We had a bunch of video guys in here going, wow. Yeah, so to kind of wrap things up, here in North America, we have a dedicated Alcons audio office. So alconsaudio.com is our main website. You can reach myself or Pauline, our operations manager at the Alcons Audio US offices. .us is the email address for us, her last name, my last name, Tiffany's last name. But check us out. The web is, again, alconsaudio.com. Easy to track any of us down. Any questions that come up, feel free to reach out to us for sure.
Yeah, ask the questions.
Yeah.
Ask the question. Thank you.
As the gentleman mentioned, the room was built around an 11.1.6 system featuring Alcon's full-range CRMS-Q line source arrays for the LCR screen channels, supported by CRMS series side, rear, and ceiling surrounds. Low-end punch came from their CRMS LFE18 subwoofers, delivering uniform, visceral bass impact, while Alcon's Director and Sentinel amplifiers drove every channel with absolute precision. Experiencing these demo rooms is absolutely surreal. For most people, it's like slipping behind the wheel of a Ferrari or Lamborghini for the first time, and maybe the only. It represents a dream, right? A theater room that could rival or even surpass the scale, quality, and volume of your local cinema. What struck me most about Alcons was the precision. The treble had a just crystal clear sparkle, the mid-range carried detail and beautiful clarity, and the bass hit with physical force you could feel in your gut and your chest. Altogether, it was a stunning demonstration of how far these systems have pushed the limits of home theater sound. I haven't watched 1912, but during the demonstration, they had a clip from the movie. I literally jumped out of my seat because I was so startled. And I honestly can't remember if and when I have ever done that. Now, they also had a pair of new large studio monitors on display, which I actually felt like they stole the show. It was when Tom played the a cappella version of Hoist the Colors that people walking by, people from other booths, everyone in the area literally stopped and approached the booth because the sound coming out of these speakers, my God, it was just, that song was just hypnotizing on these speakers. Tom has just ruined speakers for me because now when I play that song on any other pair of speakers in here, I'm comparing what I heard and felt with Tom's setup, and unfortunately, even higher-end speakers aren't meeting this new standard that I've discovered. I have high hopes for Alcons because I've watched their progression over the years, and it's clear Tom won't rest until he's reached absolute perfection. With the kind of drive and passion he brings to this industry, it doesn't feel like a career choice. It feels like this is his life's work. Thank you for joining me today. Please check the description below for links to all of Alcon's stuff we discussed today. And of course, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to the channel and hit that like button to help me grow. Take care, my friends.